My name is Lisa, and I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM and want to welcome you to today's session of Solution Studios. Today is managing your accounts receivable. So we're going to go over how to make sure that everything matches between QuickBooks and how to keep track of whether you're getting paid or not, and making sure that all payments and invoices are married in the system. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got my system pulled up. And one of the things that we want to look at is in reporting. So under reporting, and then we've got the receivables report and we got the accounts receivable aging report. And these are the two that you're going to be working with in our system to make sure that everything's clean. You're keeping track of what you're getting paid for, what you're not getting paid for, and how to reach out to your customers to get paid more quickly. So I'm going to go to the receivables report first. So on the receivables report, you can sort by date range. And I don't know why this is popping up in my test system today, but if it keeps popping up, I'm going to have to let somebody know. But I'm going to go back in time just a little bit, let's say since the first of the year, and see what's in here. Okay, I do have some items that are in here since the first of the year. It looks like some of them are unpaid and they have an open balance. Remember, anything in the system you can click on and it does something if it's red. So if I came in here and I wanted to sort by the highest balance, I could come in here and toggle it from 0 to the highest balance and take a look at those to see where my biggest ticket items are. And maybe I know why these are not paid. Maybe the job is not done or something like that. And you know that this is not you've provided it to them or created it and it's not done yet. So you know your business, so you'll know this coming forward. But if you want to go by issue date, you can come in here and take a look by date as well. Now, one of the nice things about this receivables report is so you could take the time and call each one of these customers or individually send them, because you can do that. The PDF is here just like it when you create them, and you can send the invoice from here as well. Or you can send them in bulk. And this will give you a total for this date range since the first of the year. That my invoice total is $37,746.61. I've received $12,358.93 in payments and credits, but I still have a remaining balance of $25,387.68. So I want to collect that money. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can hit select all, and this will turn this on for everything that's on this page. Okay. If I know certain ones that maybe I've created the invoice or something like that, I've already reached out to them. We've already had a discussion why it's late. You can always uncheck one in here or two or how many ever you need to do. And let me reduce this just a little bit so that extra column comes in here a little bit better. So this will tell you that the last time that you sent it, and I kind of like to do the 3-strike rule, send it out to your customers, and then it will show here when the last time that you sent them. So let me send these invoices real quick, and it'll give me a list and I can hit send. And then it'll give a little report. Sometimes if there's a lot of traffic in the system, it will tell you that it will pop up the report in just a little bit. This is taking a little bit to send. I'm on a test account and it is from home, so it takes just a couple seconds. Okay, now it will come in here and show the last notification date, which is today, and any other times that you've sent it. Okay, so when you send these out, you'll be able to see like the 3-strike rule. Give them a couple of days. If it doesn't come in, come back and send it again. And then the next time, maybe pick up the phone and have a conversation with them on these outstanding balances, especially the larger ones. So that is how to send these out. Now, if you wanted to do a statement, you have to choose one customer. So if I came in here and I chose Jack Dawson, don't have anything for him for a little bit, so let's go back. And I still don't have anything for him, so let's go back and try Mr. Foghorn. and see if I've got anything for him. Oh yeah, I do. So it will go give him a statement from this date range. Okay. And I can hit select all and I can send a statement. So if I send a statement to Mr. Foghorn, it will show up on his customer. It will also send it out to him, but on the payments tab, there is a place for whenever you send a statement to a customer that they'll be here. Okay. And you'll be able to see the date that was sent and everything there and a PDF. So you can keep track of what you've sent them. Okay. If you decide not to, you just unselect and you're back to ground zero and you're good to go. He owes me 7,165.16, so I may have already sent these out and he may request a statement. So that's just one of the uses that you can do for this. And or you also have the option to download to Excel or PDF from this report. Now, this will tell you from the state range, and you can also sort by payment statuses so you can get everybody unpaid. One of the things that you need to watch for in our system is when you authorize a payment. Most people have it set that turned off so it doesn't happen, but they can authorize a payment on the system and it'll show up in your activity screen as authorized. If you don't process that, you don't get paid. So make sure that you are actually running these and not authorizing them. Most of the people have that turned off in the back settings. And let me show you, let's see if I go to payment options and go to classic. They're getting ready to get rid of this classic view. I can't do it in this one because it is not a test one. Let me open one of the other ones. They're getting ready to get rid of the classic view and all of the classic view settings will be under settings. So let me get in and see if I can do it on the other screen and pull it in for you. Because this one is attached to my QuickBooks, so that's what I wanted to make sure that you guys had seen how this works in conjunction with QuickBooks. Let me pull this over here so that you can see it. And you would go to Payment Options Classics where I went, and then you can come down here and I believe it's in Other Settings, require an invoice number, accepted payments, all, what type of payments you would accept, enable authorization only prompt. If this is set to yes, someone can authorize a payment which reaches out and grabs that amount of money from a customer's available balance on their credit card, but it doesn't run it. So make sure that if you don't want that to happen, that this is set to no. And where you would get to this is, let me go back up. In this other account, you would go to payment options, you would go to classic, and you would have to be an admin to do this. Go to admin, and that's where all your users are that can take payments, and down into other settings. And that's where that enable authorization only prompt is. So make sure that that is set to off if you don't want to use that. And I will put this down here just in case we need it again. Okay. Oh, my computer is telling me that I need to restart, but it's giving me an hour, so that's a good thing. So let's go back in here and move that out of the way. And so we have the other receivables report, which is an aging report. And if you're familiar with QuickBooks, you're familiar with that they have an aging report in there as well. If you're not using QuickBooks, this is going to be your best way to keep track of who owes you money and how long they've owed you money, okay? Because it's going to give you these buckets that are just like the ones that are in QuickBooks. These are the people that are 30 days, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, and over 91 days. And it's going to give you a total. You can always come in here and sort by which ones you want to see, but giving it a global look will give you the totals in here of what everybody owes you. We see we have a credit here for $500. So let's take a look at some of the items. So if you come in here and you take a look at this and you go, okay, I saw that there was a $500 ones on here. Let's see. That is for Claude Miller. Claude Miller has a $500 credit. So let me go over here and go to and take a look. So whenever somebody gives you a down payment or an overpayment, it's going to show on the payments tab as a gold bar. Okay, so this says it has one payment that's not that are not fully applied to an invoice. So this could mean that it's partially applied and only $500 is left, or it is the full $500. At this point, the payment amount that was originally given was $683.65, and it paid for an invoice, and so there's $500 left on this. So when the customer, you can either reach out to your customer and say, hey, we have this credit here. Do you want to save it until your next work is done? And if they say yes, usually people with $500 want a refund. So you could do a refund for them, or you could just let it sit here until the next time that they have work done, or you may know of work that's going to be done shortly that this is a down payment for. So you know your business, you would know what this is for, and you could reach out to your customer and decide whether or not to give them a refund. So let's see some of the other ones in here. I believe there's one that's on here that is $111, and that's for Mr. Foghorn. So let's go over and take a look at his account. And he still owes money, but he has part that is not applied. So this has a $50 unapplied. So if you click on this and you go to reassign payment, this is where the rest of that funds will show up as $50. And you can choose one of the other invoices to apply it to. Okay. Um, and make sure that you always come down here and subtract that 1310 off of what is left, or apply the rest of the amount to this, because when you go to apply this, you have to make sure that this amount remaining is correct. Okay. So one of the things that you might want to do, and sometimes I'm a paper person and sometimes I have two screens. So I would pull this up on one screen, and then let me pull up QuickBooks. And here's my QuickBooks. This is a test account, so it's really ugly. So if you go into reports and you go to memorize reports, you can go into company. Let's get this contractor, customers, AR aging summary. And it's kind of the same thing. The print's always really small in QuickBooks, but it gives the current, then the 30, 60, 90, and over 90-day bucket. So if you haven't done this in a while, you would want to go through both systems and check each of the customers that are listed on the one in WEX FSM and the ones that are in QuickBooks. Find the differences and find out why they are different. And usually the first couple of times you do this, it takes a little bit of time. But once you do this and your books are clean, you can come in and run this, and there'll be only one or two items that you'll have to check every so often to make sure that your accounting system is in line with WEX FSM. And so let's see if it wasn't correct. Okay, now I've had to restart QuickBooks like 2 times since I started the other account. So this is off for me, and I know it's off. But there's my $500 payment for Claude. And Mr. Foghorn has that 6169 credit. But some of these others I know are off, because every once in a while, QuickBooks closes out my test account and I have to open a new one. And so it will no longer match what I have in WEX FSM. And I'm not going to go back and fix everything that's in there because it is a test account. So if it was my own business, I'd be in there making sure it was good. But for the test account, I'm not worried about it. So if I come in here and go through and check each one of those against this, you can either print them out or have two screens up to go through these and make sure that these okay. But sometimes there's certain places that you can look to make sure ahead of time what is going on. So if I went to my payment list and I went back in time to any of my payments, one of the things, see, it's popping up everywhere. Um, I can check is to see if any of these payments is assigned to an invoice. And once again, we can toggle these. And these invoices, these payments are not assigned to an invoice. And one of the things you can do also is this little caret that's here. So if I went down to this one, I could see that this payment is assigned to invoice 204-1. So it gives you a little bit more information. And also you have options to edit the payment from here, change the customer. So let's say you had a customer and their parents were paying the bill. Okay, and it came in here. It may show up as a payment not assigned to a customer because the payment came in through the parent's credit card and they didn't have the invoice. They just went to your site or brought in a payment, sent in a payment that through a payment link that is not associated with the child's account. I'm saying child, but they're probably over 21, but they're still having their parents help out occasionally. So you can come in here and change the customer and go find the child customer and assign it to there and assign it to the invoice at the same time. You can also refund or delete a payment here. You can delete a recorded payment, but you cannot delete a process payment. The only thing you can do with a process payment is refund it or move it to a different customer. So you can't just delete it because it came through that processing system, through the credit card processing system. Okay. But now I know that I have these that are not assigned to an invoice. So when these sync and they're not assigned to an invoice, they're going to sync over to QuickBooks and they're going to go to Henny Penny, but they're not going to be assigned to that customer. So you're going to have in QuickBooks on that customer, you're going to have a payment and you're going to have an invoice, but they're not married. So what you can do when you find these is go in and edit payment, search for any invoices that are unpaid and assign it to it and make sure that your payment without an invoice, if it's left over, is correct. And then this will set this back to ready again and it will sync over to QuickBooks to marry that payment. Now, if you have closed your books, so let's say you as an accountant, whenever you balance your checkbook or do your quarterly tax payments, your accountant may lock your books. So if you get an error here that it is locked, you may have to adjust that in QuickBooks manually because that lock that you put on QuickBooks won't let anything sync behind that date. Okay, so if you ever see that, you'll know what that is. It's just, oh, wait a minute, I locked the books. Let me go ahead and take care of that. See if I need to unlock them to fix this, or if I just want to do a general journal entry to get this updated. Okay, so you would go through all of this, okay, and make sure that they are associated with those invoices. Okay, the other way that you could find out that something might be wrong is the invoice list. So on the invoice list, this just lists everything under here lists. So you can, some that you can search date ranges, some of it, like the invoice list, is just a list. And it may have a sync error. Okay. This may say not ready. So it's never made it to QuickBooks. And that could be why your AR is off in QuickBooks as opposed to what's in WEX FSM because this invoice will show in WEX FSM, but not in QuickBooks. But the payment might have made it over if it was not assigned to the invoice. If it is assigned to the invoice, that should have errored as well. Okay, you can come in here under the not ready and see the details and see what's going on. And it says it's linked to a deactivated tax group. That's because QuickBooks closed out my QuickBooks and I had to create new ones. So I would go in and update these to new income accounts. And then it would save it and set it back to ready. And then that would sync over. And then that may take care of some of your issues and getting it the same in each system. Okay, so we've got the invoices syncing, the payment syncing. We've got the accounts receivable aging where we're reaching out to everyone to get paid from the accounts receivable and the accounts receivable aging so that you can see the buckets like are in QuickBooks. Okay, and so we've also got the reporting. So we've got job summary by appointment, and this one will tell you by appointment date whether it has been invoiced or not. Okay, so if you're looking for jobs that have not been invoiced, you can find them here. And then the job summary report will also tell you if there are proposals that have not been converted to invoices. So you can check those as well. Always remember this little pound sign up here. If this is, let me go back a little bit further. If you have more than one, it's a toggle and it will bring them up and down. So in my business, when I worked in the HVAC industry, we created an invoice for every job so that that customer could sign off that the work was done, even if we didn't charge them. And so I would know that every job should have an invoice. And if it does not, then I know to go back and find out why. Jobs can have more than one, depending if it's progress billing or if you need to create more than one invoice to get the work done. But any of these that are zero here, I would be going back and looking at to find out from my text why these were not invoiced. Okay, and then that way you can keep track on make sure that everything is billed out and the customer is signed off on everything that has been done at their residence. So we've got that done. Let's see, what else? Is there anything else? Just remember that the job summary report goes by the date the job is created. And so that way, if you had a first appointment and you went to the schedule and you created appointment, that will be the job creation date. That's how jobs are anchored in our system. But the job summary by appointment will be the date that the appointment was actually done. So that would be the date that the work was done. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking on the job summary report and you don't see a job, you may have to widen your date range because you may have created that job 2 or 3 weeks before the appointment was actually set. So you may have created it the 1st of June for an appointment for June 15th. So make sure you're going back a little bit in time to catch these. And anything that is a box that does not have the little caret can be a multi-select. So you can always filter these however you're looking to find them. Any open jobs to find out maybe what needs to be closed. You can also, on the job summary report, just like the job list, you can show jobs that are flagged for follow-up only, but you can only manage those on the job list. And so that is about it for the accounts receivable aging. Does anyone have any questions? You can always just pop it in the message. There's a few of us, so you can just unmute yourself if you like.
I'm good. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Ruby. It's good to see you again.
You as well. I'll see you on the next one.
Okay, take care. Juan, did you have anything today?
Yeah, just a quick question. For cash payments, whenever I take a cash payment, a warning comes up that says it's not going to be processed through Payzerware.
Yes, that's one of the things with a recorded payment. So when you process a payment, it goes through either check or credit card processing, and it actually goes through a process to get funded. But when you record a payment, that is going to be anything that you would take to the bank. But one of the things you need to watch when you hit record payment are the payment methods. So there are people who don't process with us that record their payments. So MasterCard is in here, Visa is in here. Um, all of the payment types are in here, but these payments, whenever you choose record payment, should have been done outside of our system. So if it's cash or a check that you're taking to the bank, you're going to have a deposit slip. And what you're doing is you're marrying that payment with your invoice in our system to just record it. It is not processing where it would come from either the check processor or the card processor where it would be automatically deposited in your bank. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That
Mhm.
that that makes more sense. It just at first I was like, what does that really mean? Because it does show the invoice when I refresh it, it shows paid.
Mhm. And then you would take that
Uh,
cash to the bank on a deposit slip.
Perfect. Okay. I guess kind of like on a follow-up question to that same thing is I have invoices that got started in QuickBooks and then imported into WEX.
Okay. So they're going to show up on the invoice list as imported,
Hmm.
and you can take a payment in WEX FSM by credit card or by recording it to marry that payment to get the balance correct in our system. So you can do that. It will probably show up as an error when the payment goes to sync. And you would just say, okay, I'm going to look in QuickBooks and make sure it went over. Because when you create an invoice in our system, it creates a pathway to that customer. So you've got the customer, and the invoice creates a pathway to that customer so that when you sync, it can find its way. And the payment follows the invoice. So when you create the invoice outside of our system and it's imported in, it's kind of like a placeholder. And it's say, okay, we know that the customer still owes the contractor this amount, but we're going to put it in there so they have it for the record, and that they can get paid. Once they get paid, they would make the record the or process the payment in WEX FSM so that it will try to follow that invoice to QuickBooks. And since it wasn't created in our system, you're probably going to see an error that says it was assigned to the customer, but could not be assigned to the invoice because it can't find that pathway. And you would just go into QuickBooks and assign it in QuickBooks manually. And then you could come back and set the error to off so that you know that you've already checked on it. It's married to the right invoice in QuickBooks, and you don't have to worry about that error here anymore.
Okay. I guess vice versa as well. If I process it in QuickBooks, I mean, it's already going to be married there.
So you would
I just
come,
need to make,
yeah, you would come
well,
and record the payment here. If you processed it in QuickBooks, you would come and record the payment here, and then I would set it to off so that it doesn't sync and create a duplicate payment.
okay, okay, yeah,
hmm
that was the end question.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
because it's like, okay, so when you do that, the and we have other people as well that have their banking brought in from their bank into QuickBooks electronically. So they know they don't have to go in and wait for their statement and put everything in. They have it brought in electronically. And when you sync to the undeposited funds in QuickBooks. And that money sits in undeposited funds until you choose which payments match what came into your bank for that day, or if it's by the deposit slip or under transactions, which there's not going to be in here because I don't have any, the batch for the day, um, match the batch of what credit cards or checks that you ran for that day so that it matches the deposit that came in from your bank. And if it's QuickBooks Online, it will prompt you to match those. So let's say I chose three payments here that equaled $100 in my QuickBooks undeposited. So if I came in, let's see if I can show you if I got anything in undeposited funds. Let's see. Oh, it's on the main page. It's easier to see. So I have 8 deposits that have synced to this account. And so if I would go in and say, okay, on the 9th, these two match what is in my bank or the deposit, since these were cash that I took to the bank, then I would make my deposit match what I took to my bank by just choosing these two and hit OK. And if you have QuickBooks Online, it's going to see that and say, hey, I see I brought this in electronically from your bank. Is this the same one? Do you want to match it? And you say yes. Now, if you don't do that, you're going to have this amount, the 141.69 in there that you brought in from the undeposited funds, and you're going to have 141.69 that hit your bank that you brought in electronically. And it's going to look like you got paid twice and you have more money than you do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I had one
Okay.
poor lady do it for a year. And I was like, you didn't write a check for that, did you? She goes, no. I said, good, because you didn't have that amount of money in there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, as I'm looking through all of those, I actually just found something odd. I might have to get in contact with support, but maybe I'll bring it up to you to see your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Is I'm looking on, we finally did at the beginning of this month, we did the final, what is it called? The load?
The supplemental
The
data load?
Yeah, the
Okay.
supplemental at the beginning of this month.
Hmm.
And when we did that, it looks like it opened up an invoice for a customer who had already paid in full.
When you say
It
opened
opened
up,
up a separate invoice for them, showing that it's still open.
okay. And do you now in WEX FSM, do you have two invoices with the same number? Or is it just one
Um,
invoice?
in WEX, so the way that we do it is we get in the first half before we start the job,
Hmm.
and the second once the job is complete. So we get half and half.
Okay.
So in WEX, um, the second one, it shows that it's been paid, closed and paid, and I can see that that payment is there.
Hmm.
But in QuickBooks, it doesn't show that that was paid. It shows still open and pending.
Okay. So if you go to the payment list, so go to the jobs tab and payment list and find that payment, what does it say? Does it have a sync error? Or does, when you have the error, do you hover over it? Does it say anything like applied to the customer but not to the invoice?
Let me see. Do I go to reporting or
Go up to the jobs tab at the top and go to the payment
oh,
list.
in payment list? Okay. And I could search by customer.
And you may have to widen the date range if you don't see it.
No, it shows synced.
It shows synced. Okay. And so
Yeah.
when you go to QuickBooks and you look at that customer balance, does it have the payment there?
Um,
If I go to customer center, does it show the payment here at all for
let me
that
see.
date?
Let me get back to looking at you. Wait, where did you go?
I went to I'm in QuickBooks. Can you see my QuickBooks?
Oh yeah, I can see your
And
QuickBooks.
then I went to customers and then my customer center. And that may be different if you have QuickBooks Online. But
Yeah, I
under
do.
Jack Dawson, is there the invoice and the payment here, or is the payment missing?
The payment looks like it's missing. In my QuickBooks, it's showing the invoice, but it's not showing the payment attached to it.
Have you, okay, so you had the supplemental's done, right?
Um,
Did they already load the supplemental? That second data load?
They said, yeah, I got a message that said complete. Let me see. I
Okay.
thought I got a message this morning.
And what date did you guys actually start fully using the system?
We started doing that on April 1st, and this
Oh,
job was done on April 15th.
April 15th. And what date was the payment?
The payment, oh, actually, yeah, April 15th was the first payment, and then the second payment was April 28th.
Okay, and it's saying synced. Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think. Let me go in really quickly and see if I can open yours up in another screen and take a look. Um, let me pull that other one up. And this one, let me get out of that one because if I have three up, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to go in and get your address. Let's see. And give me just a couple seconds and see if I can get in there. Move this over so I can see the registration emails. Get in and get your number. I'll open it up in the other screen so that it does not on the recording. Go to the jobs payment list. No, I don't want to save that. Move these out of the way. Good Lord, I got like 6 different little screens up on my thing. One saying you're going to restart in 31 minutes, and then I've got the other ones. Okay, so let's see. You said in April, right?
Yeah, and the customer name is Kevin Smith, if that helps any.
Yes. Okay, I've got two payments for the same amount that are both showing synced. Let me go back over. And they're saying they synced on 6/11. Okay, so 6/11. Why would they both sync on 6/11?
I think that's probably when they did uh the supplemental.
Okay, so let me go back in and see because if it is behind that sync conversion date, and if that's when they finished and 6/11 is your sync conversion date, then you're going to have to manually do those because those payments, I'm not sure why they would show synced, but I'm looking for the moving my little screens around again, desktop QuickBooks. Um, your sync conversion date is April 1st.
Yeah, and
April
that's when we
1st.
fully started using and invoicing from
Mm-hmm.
WEX FSM.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, is if it's okay with you, is I'm gonna set those back to ready to sync, if that's okay with you, so that in the next 10 minutes, um, they will try to go back again and they won't create a new payment. They'll just go back and try to update. And if they if they don't show up, then reach out to customer support and see if they can figure out why.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And at least this way it'll give them a shot. So maybe with during the first time, um, could have been something going on with it during the first sync. But if it's QuickBooks Online, it should, what it does is it tries to sync every 10 minutes if there's anything new, because it just does net new. And what it'll do is it may not get everything during the first sync, but it will line things up in line, and every 10 minutes it will sync more and more and more until it gets caught up and it has everything. But yeah, I wanted to, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I see the reason. If you look at the payer name is different. So do you have a separate customer in QuickBooks that has the middle or the hyphenated?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't have that guy in there. Let me see. That's his email address. And I think, yes, when he made that payment, he added his name that way on the
Okay.
payment.
So you only have one customer named Kevin Smith in QuickBooks.
Correct.
Okay. Payer name and customer name. Okay. And it looks like it's assigned to the correct customer. Let me do a quick, because that was my first. I'm going to do payments and credit by invoices and move this over here and go by date, time, April 27th. Okay, we've got both of those going to 9163 and 916-4. So if you if they don't go in the next sync, reach out to customer support and see if they can figure out what's going on. But at least
Okay.
that may clear it up.
Okay. Yeah, the
Okay.
main thing I didn't want to do is like what you said is create an additional payment or
Mm-hmm.
duplicate it
Right.
because it has the right invoice number in QuickBooks as
Mm-hmm.
916-4. It has that in there, but it's showing
Unpaid.
not paid in QuickBooks and showing paid in WEX FSM.
Okay, let me go back and see if it April 1st. See if it no, they're still ready. So yeah. So take a look. Let's see, it's 43. Probably it's gonna be like 50 on the 10 before it tries to go through again. But take a look and see if it updates after the next sync, and if not, then reach out to customer support.
Okay. And you're
Okay.
saying it's probably just because it had that hyphenated last name?
I don't know if I just looked at it to sit, just make sure that it was assigned to the correct customer. And I looked on that Kevin Smith and it is assigned to the correct customer, but sometimes when you see that, the only other thing that I can think of is let me go to it's and it was a Visa on the 20. You said the first one is not paid or the second one's not paid? Because one's on the 15th and one's on the 28th. Let me go into the activity screen and go back to April. I can check what the name is on the payment. 28th, if I go Smith. No, the customer name is just Kevin Smith on all three of those payments. So that's not it. So
Okay.
yeah, if it doesn't go, they'll have to take a look and see what may be the issue.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at it, see if they sync up. And if they
Hmm.
don't, as you mentioned, I'll reach out to support
Okay.
and
And
see
then
what they
and
might be
see
able
what's
to
going on.
find.
Because I was thinking maybe if you just had the supplemental that because that's what I'm sitting there going, the supplemental you went live April 1st, and that's what sync conversion date we have set in there. So it's not like it's blocking anything before them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those were after. So it should be okay. But if it doesn't go through, um, and were those invoices created in QuickBooks, but not in WEX FSM and imported in?
No, those were created in WEX FSM, I
Okay,
believe.
then they should be going through. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure. They'll have to take a
And
look and
that's
see
the,
what's going on.
now that you mentioned the last name, the one that was on the 15th, that's the one that had the hyphenated name,
Hmm.
and that one showed up in QuickBooks just fine. It's the one on the 28th that has the regular name that's not syncing.
Hmm. Okay. Well,
So
I've done as much as I can from my end. So
yeah.
take a look and see how it goes. Did you have any other questions about anything else?
No, no, you've gone above and beyond already. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. I'm trying to think what we have tomorrow. What do we have tomorrow? Tomorrow is sync errors. So,
Yeah,
so we'll be working on sync errors and merging customers.
there you go. I'm going to try to attend that one, especially with what we just looked at right now.
Okay. And you can
But
give me an
yeah,
update tomorrow and let me know how it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I'll try to make it. This will be a good one to be able to find out what happened.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. You have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye now.